So let's talk about it. So first and foremost, today I think it's International Men's Day. So happy International Men's Day. So I say this to say, do men suffer in silence? Hell yeah, men suffer in silence. Let's talk about it. Get this phone right. Yeah, men suffer in silence. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Disruptive Minds. I'm your host, Jerome A. Carter, and the A stand for always learning. Why do men? But see, when we talk about men suffering in silence, we never ask, why do men suffer in silence? Why are men suffering in silence? And here's the why. Let me fill that part in. Men suffer in silence because if they say something, it seems like they're complaining or bitching and whining. That's one of the reasons why, right? It sounds like they're complaining and whining. Like, why are you complaining? You're a man. You got to man up, and you're whining about something, and da 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 da. So you start off with that. Start off with the I don't want to say nothing because I want to be called a complainer and a whiner and a bitcher, right? Part two, the other why men suffer in silence. It's because the advice that they get is from other men who are suffering. So what advice are you going to get from the same people who are thinking the same as you and doing the same as you? What type of advice do you think is going to come out from that? Nothing good. The type of advice you're going to get is going to be on you got to toughen up. You got to cope with it. You just got to do what you got to do. You heard that about 50 million different times, right? You just got to do what you got to do. What does that mean? What does do what you got to do? What does that mean? So what men tend to do is they cope with things. They cope with the mom and the job and the relationships and the money and their fitness. They cope with it. And they use 5 things to cope with it. What are those 5 things, Rome? Glad you asked. Sex, drugs, alcohol, food, and work. Let me say it again. The 5 coping mechanisms that most men are going to use: sex, drugs, alcohol, food, and work. So, let's break some of them down. Sex. That's pretty simple, right? Drugs. They popping everything. They popping so many drugs now. This shit is crazy. It's like people are walking like they're walking Pfizers, man. They're just popping so many pills nowadays. It's just crazy. But that's a coping mechanism. Why? Because it is what it is. You got to cope with it. Sex, alcohol. We already know about the alcohol. That's easy. So what did I say? Sex, drugs, food, or eating themselves to death. You can see that. There's so many fat people walking around. The shit's ridiculous. But that's a coping mechanism. They're coping with that, right? So, sex, drugs, food, alcohol, and work. And when I say work, what do I mean by work? They stay at work, or they're constantly at work, or they're constantly going to work, or they're doing overtime, or they're work. They're working themselves to death. Work can be a coping mechanism. There are people who, that's how they cope with work. If they can get a bunch of overtime, they're going to do a bunch of overtime. They're going to do 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week, have 1 day off. That's their way of coping with things that they can't deal with. I'm a person who believes in dealing with things. I don't believe in coping with nothing. Nothing. Your health and your mental health is your responsibility. I don't believe in coping with nothing. I believe in dealing with everything. There's something I call, or something that's been called, control the controllables. I can't control the weather, but I can control whether I'm in this park walking, right? I can't control the traffic. There are a lot of things you can't control, but the things you can control, you control the shit out of. I can control how many weights go in here. I control how long I go on this path. I can control the controllables. So when it comes to coping versus dealing, there are things you have to cope with, like traffic. You have to cope with traffic. You got to cope with weather. Remember, coping is like your uncontrollables. A lot of men are complaining about things they can control. They're complaining about things they can deal with. Rome is not that easy. I never said it's going to be easy. I've never said that. Never said it and won't say it. I know it's not easy. Hell, but walking this path isn't easy. Putting on this vest isn't easy. Being out here in the weather isn't easy. And today, I don't feel like it today, for sure. It seems like I feel like it because I got this high energy, but nah, I'm not feeling this today. I'm a little off today. But I'm still out here. Why? Control the controllables. I can control that. I say this to say men suffer in silence, yes, and that's the reason why men suffer in silence. Men suffer in silence because they don't want to seem like they're bitching and whining or complaining. Also, because they're not getting viable, real life solutions. Man up, man. You just got to do what you got to do. And prayer is not a real life solution. Let me put that in there real quick at the end. Prayer is not a real life solution. It's not. It's not. Prayer does not work that way. Prayer is supernatural, and I keep saying that. I want to keep saying that. I'm going to say that till the day I die. Prayer is supernatural. You're praying for something you can do yourself. Prayer is for supernatural events. If I pray because one of my kids are hurt or somebody's hurt in my family or somebody's going through something and I can't do nothing right here, right now, I say, Lord, give me the strength to deal with this situation, and I'm praying over X, Y, Z. And I give the name to what I'm praying over to so that energy can go directly to what I'm praying toward. I'm not going to pray like, Lord, help me get to this 5 miles. Nah, that's a controllable. I can control that. I say all that to say, you men out there who are suffering in silence, you don't have to suffer in silence. There are solutions. There are results that you can get. You just choose not to do them. You click the link. You go start off with basic mindset training. That's a controllable. You can control that. That's controllable. Control that. You can start the process literally today. That's a controllable. I'm out.